folks. I want to take a few moments now to talk about our digital exhibit on slave narratives. I think this is going to be a really productive and dynamic project. I want to make sure that everyone has a good handle on all the moving parts. So the purpose of this project will be to identify artifacts that relate to incidents in the life of a slave girl. And we're also going to take it a step further and try to connect these artifacts to, in general, the collective memory of slavery in the United States. We will also be looking at an article on collective memory as part of this work, so you'll get some additional information on what collective memory is that might allow you to think about how it applies to slavery in the US. So we will be using a digital archival website called Omeka to create these projects. I will be doing a separate tutorial video that just focuses on how to create the project in Omeka. So if you have some concerns about using technology and creating websites and all of that, not to worry, we have you covered. So let's walk through the project step by step. So the first thing to do is to do some brainstorming and identify some topics, events, ideas, elements of incidents in the life of a slave girl that particularly interest you. You might be really interested in gender dynamics that were reflected in the storytelling. You might be interested in the way that slaves were freed and also the way that they escaped. You might be interested in pregnancy and childbirth and family dynamics of enslaved people and things like that. The memoir touches on a lot of different aspects of the experience of slavery, so I think that you'll have a lot to work with as you're thinking about topic areas that might be productive for this project. So once you've identified some areas of focus, I'd like you to gather 10 artifacts that relate to these areas of interest, either in terms of illustrating them further or just kind of having some sort of connection. When I use the term artifact, I am talking about any documentation that's relevant to the subject matter across a wide variety of media. So certainly documents such as bills of sales or news articles or letters or diaries count, but so do videos, images, art exhibits, interviews. Anything like that is valid for this project. Be creative, think broadly in terms of what could count as an illustrating artifact for this project. If you have questions, feel free to ask. I'm happy to chat with you about your ideas. So to get you started, I've included some archival sites that might have some useful artifacts for you that might be relevant to topics that you're interested in. You can certainly branch out beyond this, but I want to give you at least a place to start. So I'll show you two of the ones that really jumped out at me, and then we'll move on to step 2. So the American Slavery Documents Archive at Duke University has a lot of different types of historical documents that relate to slavery. And what I like about this is that it's very easy to set search parameters. So you can select the kind of document you're looking for, and you can see they're quite a variety. So if you're looking for variety in the type of artifacts that you're including, this might be a good start. There's also a list of subjects. So you can kind of see if you're interested in fugitive slaves, or auctions, or let's see what else we have here. If you're particularly interested in the female experience, there are some focus areas that may be of interest to you. So I think this is a very user-friendly archive to use as you're researching. And the other one I want to show you was this documentation of slave voyages from Emory University. So this is a very specific archive. It's focusing more on the slave trade itself as far as moving slaves from one place to another. But I think that that can be an interesting aspect of slavery in the US, and there may be some information in this collection that's of interest to you. So now that we've gotten a good handle on the contents, or at least the artifacts there to be included, let's talk about next steps. So for each artifact, I'm going to ask you to include a brief reflection. And basically the purpose of the reflection is to explain the significance of each artifact. So I'm not asking for a lot of writing on each artifact. I know there's 10 of them, so there's a lot to get through, but I'd like about 75 to 100 words. And I would like you to explain how each artifact relates to incidents in the life of a slave girl. It's okay if the connections are loose. I don't expect all of the artifacts to have pinpointed connections back to the memoir. It's okay to extrapolate a little bit. And I would also like you to talk about how the artifact relates to your understanding of the collective memory of slavery in the US. So once you've done all that, you will have all the content for your exhibit. So from there, the goal is to add the artifacts and the reflections to your Omeka site. And as I said, we'll be covering the how-to of that part in another video. And then the final piece will be to put the finishing design touches on the exhibit, make sure that it looks the way you want it to look, make sure that it includes a title page and an MLA style works cited page or section to document all of the sources of the artifacts, and you'll be good to go. Please note that this document also has grading criteria on the second page, so I strongly recommend reviewing that as you're working on the project to make sure that you're covering all the bases as far as requirements go. So that is a quick rundown of this project. I hope that prepares you well to get started with the process.